is it? From Zetster's lab. I haven't made a video in ages. And then last night, as we were visiting a friend, I was quickly going through my Facebook, and I saw the next piece, and immediately it just spoke to me. You know, sometimes when you read something and it wakes you up. So this is what I read. In spite of war and in spite of hate, lilacs are blooming at my gate. Tulips are tripping down the path. In spite of war and in spite of wrath. Isn't it awesome? Let me read it again. In spite of war, in spite of hate, lilacs are blooming at my gate. Tulips are tripping down the path. In spite of war, in spite of wrath. I mean, in spite of. That's why we need to be outside. We need to be part of nature, because nature shows us life. It shows us seasons. Look at a tree. In the midst of whatever we may be going through in this earthly realm, look at the trees and the plants and the birds, and they just continue to live. But they're not blooming all the time. It's not only things aren't just always full of flowers. Sometimes you watch a tree and sometimes it doesn't even have leaves. It's without leaves. Sometimes it's got leaves. Sometimes the leaf falls off. Sometimes a tree just need to be pruned. And pruning is not, I don't believe it's nice for a tree. And all the stages that trees go through and plants go through and animals, it's the same with us. There's seasons. I've been going through a tough patch lately. I've got a bladder infection, and I'm really struggling to get over it. And no matter how I tried to paint, I just couldn't get joy onto the canvas. Later I just gave up. And then yesterday I just started. I saw beautiful pictures and I said, I need to paint them, and I did, and it was just color. My joy returned. And you know what? Not feeling well is also fine. It's also life. There's seasons. We need to remember that. I mean, I don't know who told us that everything in this realm must always turn out as we believe it should, because they never ever do. Just like in nature, there's seasons. In the midst of my not feeling well, I was resting. I was on the bed lots of times, and I was just resting. And you know, that was what I needed. I needed to withdraw and just be alone with me. And that's why even when you have I don't even want to call it the illness, something that's just not right or whatever. There's also a reason for that, and you can also use that for your good in order to grow. And you know what? When I was also thinking about this and the tree and whatever, then even the tree, when it goes through its seasons, one after another, year after year, it also comes to the point where it die. Call it die. I don't want to call it die, because the life that's in the tree, that life just continues. It made seeds and it made roots, and it continues in the trees around it, in life around it. Life just continues. It's just always life. And the same with us. We're all going to come to the point where we're going to leave this body, but that's not death. Life cannot die. We're just going to continue in the hearts and the lives of others. We're just going to be in a different form. Isn't it just amazing when you start to not judge? Don't judge. I mean, how ridiculous to judge a tree by its season. Say when it's in winter and it's without leaves, then we judge it because it's not blooming. So there's something wrong with it, and it's not doing what it's supposed to do, and we just rip it out and destroy it because it doesn't fit in with our idea of what the tree should do now. And the same we do it. That's exactly what we do with people. We judge them, each other and ourselves, because we don't do what we believe we should do. But there's seasons, and in the winter the tree needs to rest, and the roots grow, while the things that you can see looks terrible. So the same with us. Sometimes we need to be forced to slow down. I was forced to just slow down and just turn inwards towards the abundant life in me and just rest. So yes, when I came home after reading this, it was late. It was like 10 o'clock, and I decided I need to go and paint just a garden. I don't know if you can really see, but I'll put the link below to my Facebook page. So I immediately just had to paint a garden, and look at the little girl and just standing there in the gate opening and just walking in the garden. So my message just today is we just need to relax. We just need to give each other space to go through our seasons. Sometimes we bloom, and sometimes the outside will look beautiful, but other times we don't. But that's also fine. Every situation in our life, we need situations in our life to force us to slow down. Otherwise, we will never do it. To force us to just rest and turn inwards. So yes, thank you for tuning in. Thank you that I can share my walk with you. My walk that's always, sometimes it's a winter season for me where I really have very little to say, and then I don't say it because I believe if there's not a message in my video, what's the use? So today's message is make peace with where you are in your season, and make peace with where your loved ones is, wherever they are. What season they're going through. There's no right and there's no wrong. There's just different seasons. We need to, in the midst of whatever is going on in this realm, in the midst of what the poem said, in the midst of, in spite of war, in spite of dis-ease, sickness, in spite of hate, in spite of whatever, lilacs are blooming at my gate. In spite of whatever is went on in my life in these last 2-3 weeks, my flowers are still blooming. Life is still going on in nature. Look at this absolute gorgeous flower in the spot. It just keeps on blooming. I actually went into town today and go and look for 2 more of these bushes, because they are just the most amazing, because we're very close, stay very close to the sea, so it's really difficult. I've got a beautiful garden, but it's really just ordinary things. I don't have much color, but this hibiscus is just giving me so much joy. So I actually wanted to buy 2 more different colors and put them in different pots, but it's the wrong time of year. I couldn't find any, but they're coming. I mean, I couldn't find them now because it's now not the season for them, for me to plant them. It's not that they're wrong or whatever. So yes, in the midst, in spite of what you are seeing in your children's life, or what you are seeing happening in this realm or in the world, if it's war, if it's hate, whatever, in spite of, nature is just continuing. In spite of war and in spite of wrath, we are continuing. Life, the abundant life, everlasting life, is just life. So make peace with what season you may find yourself in. And in spite of whatever may be manifesting in you, around you, through you, life is perfection. Life is happening. It's only the seasons that's changing. And it needs to change. It cannot always be summer. It needs to there needs to be seasons in order for things to grow. You need to go through seasons in order for the life in you to grow, to burst forth out of you, to deal with things in your life that needs to be dealt with. We need seasons. We need things to happen to force us to deal with stuff. And then at the end, we're going to bloom. It's like a tree that needs to be pruned. I mean, I had to do it a couple of weeks ago. It was just this huge piece of things that I pruned. We were sawing and cutting, and it was crazy. And now it actually looks terrible, but we had to do it in order for the tree to really start to grow better. So yes, we're gonna get pruned. We're gonna go through dry seasons. We're gonna go through colds, and I also saw, when I was thinking about this, the tree that sometimes big pieces just tore off. People that were close to you will be ripped from you. You know, lightning can strike at any time and things will go up in smoke. That's life. We need to start realizing it's all for our good. Everything that we need to go through in this realm is for our growth, is for the abundant life in us to burst forth, to flow more and more stronger and mightily through us to change and touch everyone that we come in contact with. So fear not, all is well. Life is unfolding perfectly, and I'm talking about the life, abundant life in you and me, in the plants, in the trees, in the animals. That's life, and that life is perfect. Whatever we may see in the natural, we don't understand. We only look at the natural, and we just look through this small little peephole, like in the door, the little hole, but we don't see, we don't understand. The ego, the mind can never understand. We can only see in part. But the truth is, the abundant life forever and ever is perfect and is moving in us, through us, all around us. Life is perfect. Have a fantastic day. Zed from Zedster's Lab. Love you lots. All is well.